Ukrainian President Zelensky said the issue of territory in the ongoing war with Russia is complicated and will need to be discussed in greater detail later. Speaking at a press briefing in Kyiv, he reiterated that Ukraine would never recognize Russian-occupied territories.
Тому що питання територій – питання складне. Воно повинно вирішуватись потім, за столом перемовин. Червоні лінії повинні бути озвучені одразу. І якщо на ці теми розмовляє американська, російська сторони, то нехай вони розмовляють. Наша позиція, що ми не визнаємо окуповані території українські, російські ми. За будь-якого випадку.
British Prime Minister Keir Starmer hosted a virtual meeting with European leaders to discuss how they could support Ukraine in case a peace deal with Russia is reached. Starmer emphasized that defense chiefs would meet next week to develop robust plans, with pressure mounting on Putin to accept a ceasefire deal backed by U.S. President Donald Trump.
Our militaries will meet on Thursday this week here in the United Kingdom to put strong and robust plans in place to swing in behind a peace deal and guarantee Ukraine's future security. President Trump has offered Putin the way forward to a lasting peace. Now we must make this a reality. So this is the moment to keep driving towards the outcome that we want to see, to end the killing, a just and lasting peace in Ukraine, and lasting security for all of us.
Worldwide News Report. On Saturday, U.S. President Donald Trump launched military strikes against Yemen's Houthi after the group's attacks on Red Sea shipping. Trump warned the Houthis to abandon their campaign, stating hell will rain down upon you if they don't cease. He also urged Iran to stop backing the group or face consequences. After the U.S. strikes hit Sana'a and kills dozens. In retaliation, the Houthis targeted the U.S. aircraft carrier USS Harry S. Truman.
يعني الآن نحن سنواجه التصعيد بالتصعيد، سنرد على العدو الأمريكي في غاراته، في اعتداءاته، بالقصف الصاروخي، بالاستهداف لحاملة طائراته، لبوارجه، لسفنه، سيشمله قرار الحظر، ومع ذلك أيضا لا يزال لدينا خيارات تصعيدية. فإذا استمر في عدوانه ننتقل إلى خيارات تصعيدية.
The attacks have escalated tensions in the region, with both Tehran and Moscow voicing criticism. Worldwide News Report.
On March 15, President Donald Trump signed an executive order to reduce the size of the U.S. Agency for Global Media, known as USAM, the parent organization of Radio Free Europe and other federal media outlets. The order aims to shrink government bureaucracy by cutting unnecessary agencies. USAM, with a budget of $886 million for 2024 and around 3,500 staff, has severed contracts with international broadcasters. Radio Free Europe announced that almost all staff had been placed on administrative leave. This decision is expected to face resistance from Congress. Worldwide News Report.
On March 14, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio declared South Africa's ambassador to the U.S., Ebrahim Rasool, a persona non grata, labeling him a race-baiting politician in a social media post. This comes after Rasool's critical comments about U.S. President Donald Trump. South Africa's president called the expulsion regrettable and urged for diplomatic decorum. Analysts suggest this incident could signal a further cooling of U.S.-Africa relations.
If the U.S. doesn't back down, South Africa may consider some kind of retaliatory action in this regard. Africa can maybe learn from that and begin to rethink its engagement with the U.S.
Relations between the two nations have already been strained, especially after Trump's financial aid cuts, due to disagreements over South Africa's land policies. Worldwide News Report. On his first overseas trip as Prime Minister, Mark Carney visited London and Paris to build stronger relationships with European allies. This move comes as tensions rise between Canada and the U.S. In London, Carney addressed the need for U.S. President Trump to stop making disrespectful comments about Canada before serious talks can begin on future ties.
I think I would take seriously what the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom said today. I don't think one needs to respond to every comment about another country. Look, we can stand up for ourselves. We've called out those comments. Disrespectful, they're not helpful, and they need to stop before, and they will have to stop before we sit down and have a conversation about our broader partnership with the United States.
He also highlighted Canada's retaliation with tariffs against U.S. imports in response to Trump's threats. After meeting with French President Macron earlier on Monday in Paris, Carney met Britain's King Charles at Buckingham Palace as part of his visit to Europe. Worldwide News Report. In a proclamation published on Saturday, U.S. President Donald Trump invoked the 1798 Alien Enemies Act to swiftly deport what the White House said were members of the Venezuelan gang. The Trump administration used the authority to deport 137 Venezuelans to El Salvador, even as a judge ordered the removals halted, sparking a legal standoff. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro condemned on Monday the treatment received by Venezuelan deportees from the United States to El Salvador.
Ya está en vigencia el llamado oficial de la Cancillería de la República para que todo venezolano, toda venezolana no viajen a territorio de Estados Unidos, que es un territorio que los agrede. Ya fue anunciado por el canciller, por el presidente de la Asamblea Nacional, nuestra recomendación oficial para que eviten viajar al territorio de los Estados Unidos.
And announced Venezuela would take measures to denounce this massive violation of human rights. Worldwide News Report.
On Monday, U.S. President Donald Trump visited the John F. Kennedy Center for the first time since appointing himself chairman. During his tour, Trump highlighted the center's national significance, calling it an important part of Washington, D.C. and the country. Trump also announced that his administration would release all remaining Kennedy files on Tuesday. He confirmed that the documents would be made public with no redactions.
We are tomorrow announcing and giving all of the Kennedy files. So people have been waiting for decades for this, and I've instructed my people that are responsible, lots of different people put together by Tulsi Gabbard. And that's going to be released tomorrow. You've got a lot of reading. I don't believe we're going to redact anything. I said, just don't redact. You can't redact.
Trump's visit follows his controversial move earlier this year to dismiss the Kennedy Center's president and take control of the institution. Worldwide News Report.